it was your birthday, or maybe recently, not so recently.
Yeah, January.
In
January
January.
11th.
It's been a
Yeah.
couple months. And you enlightened me about kind of a strip club story and just a crazy night overall.
It was. It was.
Tell me more about that, because I mean, I got the details, but it was so many details I didn't really
Yeah.
wasn't able to grasp everything.
Yeah. So it was my 41st birthday, which I didn't expect much from. Obviously I've got a lot of cousins and a lot of friends and family down here in Phoenix, and so one of my cousins actually was like, "Hey, Shaun, we got to do something for your birthday." And I was like, "Well, I didn't really care. It was my 41st."
Oh,
and
shut up! You always want to
we-
party on your birthday.
I do. I love partying on my birthday. It's one of my favorite holidays. But being 41, it was just a weird number. And
Yeah.
you were with me on my 40th birthday actually last year, which was my first
We
time I
did
ever
party.
rode in a Waymo, and I got roasted, by a comedian for my birthday, which was pretty awesome. But the 40th was awesome. It was a great night. We had a great time. But for my 41st, I wasn't expecting anything like that. And so my cousin actually threw a semi-surprise party that was at, a very well-known bar here in Phoenix that, I play pool at competitively, and I know everyone. And so it's like, to try and keep a secret for a birthday party for someone like me that everyone knows, it got leaked out. And so I ended up knowing about it, and we ended up having this birthday party, and only 12, 15 people were supposed to show up, and ended up being this massive night. And I had cousins, one cousin that flew in from Alaska, and I had other cousins that were already here, and it just ended up turning into this wild, crazy party. And we ended up leaving this bar. We got in a Waymo. There was a lot of fun that was going on, and we ended up at a strip club, which, anyone that knows me knows that's not my, my thing. I'll go every once in a while with friends if they invite me or whatever, but it's not my thing. And I was having a really good time, and I was feeling pretty buzzed. I started a little early for my birthday that day, and we had gotten out of this Waymo, and there was this girl sitting right outside this strip club. And I think it was like, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And she was just sitting there. And so I got out, and I'm one of those guys, I just didn't care. So I walked right up to her, and she was, smoke show. She was sexy as hell. It's one of those things, and I just don't give a shit. And so I walked up and I just gave her a hug, and I started talking to her, and she welcomed me in. So she hugged me back, and
Wow.
we were talking for, a couple of minutes, and we
Love at first sight.
no, definitely not.
Oh, yeah.
It was more like lust at first sight for sure. And so we ended up talking for a little while, or a couple of minutes actually, and then went inside, and I just actually kind of forgot about her. And I don't know, maybe 10 minutes later,
You didn't forget about her.
I there was so much going on coming into the strip club. My cousins, were paying my way in, and they're, talking about all these things that they want to do for the night. And it was just a really fun atmosphere. And I wasn't thinking about her. It wasn't I forgot about her. I just wasn't thinking about her. And long story short is she came in, gosh, probably like 10 minutes later. Could have been longer. I don't know. It's kind of all blurry, but she actually worked there, and she was off. She had just finished her shift, and like I said, it's probably 10 o'clock in the evening at this point. And she had came up and she sat next to me because I was like, "Oh, it's my birthday," when I gave her a hug, and I was kind of just doing that whole thing or whatever. And she sat down next to me, and my cousin, who was also there with me, she was like, "Shaun, I'm gonna get you a dance." And I was like, "I don't need that," I was just, being modest, whatever. And the girl who came back in, she was talking to me, and she was like, "Oh," she's like, "I'll give him a dance." And I was like, "Well, didn't you just get off shift?" And she was like, "Well, I'll go get dressed again." And I was like, "You don't have to do that. That's kind of crazy." And so, long story short is, everyone around me was hyping her up. So she leaves for a little while, comes back, all dressed, like, most of the girls in the club do. And was like, "Hey, let's go do this." And so my cousin just starts throwing money at her and is like, take care of him. And I was like, this is insane. So we ended up going back and getting the whole VIP bracelet thing. And she danced, and God, I had probably 5 or 6 songs. And, we were doing things back there that we probably shouldn't have been doing. And I was definitely
What
having
exactly
fun.
were you guys doing?
I don't know if
Give me the play-by-play.
The what?
Give me the play-by-play.
Oh, that's dangerous.
No, it's not.
There were, I guess there were drugs involved. There was a lot of very heavy groping and fun, and it was just it was
Sounds like a terrible time.
It was an experience for sure, man. But we end up back there. Gosh, it felt like it was an hour. And we came back out and went back, and the whole crew we were with, we had like this spot that was like almost in front of the stage. And so we came back out, and I'm looking, and so many people had left. I was like, I wasn't gone that long. but like my cousin and her husband had actually left, and I didn't know where they were at. And then my other cousin was still there, and he was sitting there, and he's like, "Yeah, man, how was it?" So we were talking, and she ended up hanging out all night with us, and we ended up leaving. Oh gosh, it was probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we went back to a hotel and ended up hanging out. She stayed for a little while. We left, and then she's like, "Yeah, I'll come hang out with you after I figure out what I'm doing." And so we exchanged numbers, and we left. And next thing I know, she's texting me, and I'm with my male cousin, and we're in his room having blast. And she's waiting for me at my apartment at my door, and I totally didn't have any idea
Now you knew what to do.
Yeah, so I start freaking out, thinking, damn, I'm making this girl wait for me, and then I felt bad, and so I end up hopping in a Waymo, meeting her there, and we end up hanging out for the entire next day, which was Sunday, and it was just a really crazy time, man. It was interesting. She was awesome. She was super sweet. Just an amazing time. But yeah, it was wild. It was wild. I definitely didn't expect that for my birthday. I was expecting more low key.
The thing is, you always say that, but then there's always a story that happens just like that.
Yeah,
exactly like that.
I definitely didn't expect it. I'm glad it happened. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Obviously, I had a blast, and it was worth every minute, every dime, and all the stressors that came along with it too. So I definitely had a blast. It was,
the saying goes, never ask for permission, but always ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, there's definitely probably some forgiveness I should have asked after that for sure. So yeah, but she definitely made my 41st worth it, and obviously my family, my friends, everyone that came, to the party, everyone made it worth it. It was just a really awesome party. And weekend actually, and so I'm definitely grateful, and thanks to everyone that helped with that. That was a really great time. So thank you guys.
Dang, that's a hell of a story. Probably doesn't top the one where you fucked this chick in a Lyft while the driver was
Oh my god, I did. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, yeah. So, do you want to hear this story?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of already heard it.
Yeah.
So I kind of know the story, but you tell the audience.
Oh man, gosh, I feel bad saying this on air.
No, don't.
Never do. It was it was wild. This wasn't too long ago, and so everyone has a bucket list, right? They have their places they want to have sex and they want to experience things and everything. And mine is not like anyone else. It's not anything crazy. It was I wanted to have sex with someone in an Uber or a Lyft, some type of a ride share. And it happened, and it was weird because I had accidentally booked a ride. I was leaving Hooters actually in Glendale, Arizona, and I kind of shut the place down, and I was having a good night, and it was crazy. I ended up hitting the share a ride part of the app in Uber, and which is crazy because I normally would have been using Waymo, but it was just on the outskirts of where
I used that share ride, and I got with the most annoying chick ever. And I was like, because Sammy ordered it, and I was like, whatever. He paid for it. He never paid. Well, now he's been paying.
Yeah.
But okay, shit, you paid for it, and I was stuck with these two annoying girls, and I was relatively sober, and yeah. You can continue on her story, but that was annoying as fuck, and I was basically told her I forgot her name because she was so irrelevant.
Wow.
I was like, fuck you, just let me go home. But
anyways,
to your point.
That's
those they can either be really cool or just super fucking annoying.
Yeah, I this was one of those. This is a crazy experience. And I still actually, it's hard to actually kind of think about it because it was so random that I was still shocked. So the whole thing is I accidentally hit the share ride. I never do that because I always just have my own ride by myself.
I thought you were going to say I accidentally fucked this chick. How do you?
No, that was definitely not an accident, but was not even my idea, which is crazy about this entire thing. So,
you're under a trance.
It was I've been drinking. I think I got to Hooters at 5:30 that evening, and like I said, it was about 10, a little after 10, and I decided I was leaving, and they had Jack Daniel specials, Jack Fire, Jack Honey, Jack Apple, $3 every day. And I was just getting lit, and I was having a good time. And so I leave, and I order the Uber, and it, comes and picks me up, and I accidentally hit the share button. Well, when it got there, there was no one in the vehicle. It was actually a van, actually a really nice van, like a Honda Odyssey thing. It was a really nice van actually. And so I get in the ride, and the driver is from somewhere overseas. He's like some type of Nigerian or something like that, maybe from Jordan. I don't know. But anyway, so he was super nice, whatever. And we pull out, and I knew he should have turned left. And he didn't. Instead, he turns right. And so I was like, where are you going? And my hotel I was staying at, I was in limbo waiting for the closing.
You thought he was kidnapping you or something?
Well, no, I just didn't know. And obviously, I've been drinking, so I was pretty buzzed. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, where are we going? And I was like, because if he turned left, literally, he just goes right around the corner. I was less than a mile away.
Yeah.
But I was buzzed enough where I didn't want to walk. Right. And so I was like, where are you going? And so he's like, we got another ride. And I was like, wait, what? So I'm like, not sure what's going on, but I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll accept it. Let's do this thing, So we rolled down the street, and I can't remember the hotel. I think it was like an Embassy Suites, if I recall. But we roll up there, and there's this girl that we pick up, and she gets in on the other side of the van, and we're in the middle, right? It's like the little middle passenger seat area, and she's dressed to the nines, super cute. Tell she was relatively young, but she gets in the car or the van, and I'm talking to her like I always do, and I'm like, "How's your night?" She's like, "Well, it's not going too well." And I was like, "Why is that?" And she goes, "Well, it's my birthday," and so they were apparently having like a hotel party for her birthday where we picked her up at, and it obviously didn't go as well as she wanted, and so we're talking, and so he was dropping her off first, and so her ride was like, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes. Well, in the course of talking with her, and we were kind of joking around, and I made a comment that sucks because at this point now it's almost 11. Right. So the night's almost over, but she looked really good.
The night's just getting started, baby. Come on.
It was,
11 is early.
I was going home and going to bed. I actually had a really early morning in the office next day.
They say in Mexico, pregame doesn't start till 2.
I guess fiesta, baby, all day. But so the craziness is that her and I were talking, and I made a comment about birthday sex, and she's like, yeah, that's obviously not happening. And I was like, well, that's, too bad. And we were talking, and she was like, unless you want me to come back to your hotel. And I was like, wait, what? And so I was kind of processing everything. And she's like, well, how old are you? And I was like, I just turned 41. She goes, dang. She's like, you look really young for being 41. I was like, well, thanks. I appreciate that. I was like, how old are you? She's like, well, I just turned 26. And I was like, dang. I was like, you look really good for 26. I was like, I would have thought maybe 21. And so we were joking around, and next thing you know, we were, just kind of, it was there. You could tell there was like that tension, I guess, of like you call it.
I like how in all these stories, it seems like you're the victim. Like, oh, I didn't know what's going on. I'm like, oh, what is going on?
There was definitely no victim.
It's like not even victim is the word, but you're not that aloof. You're sounding very aloof, very like, oh, what is going on?
I think what it is that as I've gotten older, I don't pick up on some of that as much as I probably used to when I was younger. And I guess like it was kind of thrown off. I was thrown off by it. And so we're kind of talking and flirting. And so I was like, you're definitely welcome to come back with me. I was like, I've got some Fireball. I've got some vodka. I got some beer. I was like,
definitely knew what you're doing.
We can have some fun at my place. And I was like, are you sure? She's like, oh, 100%. Absolutely. And so the driver he hears us, and he goes, well, is that what you want? And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. So she's like, yeah. So I was like, okay, well, he's like, okay, we'll get on the app and reroute it. And so I'm like trying to figure this out, and I have no control over her ride, obviously. So I was like, oh, you have to cancel it. And he's like, how about you just cancel the whole ride? Give me some cash. And he's like, I'll take care of it. And I was like, damn. I was like, that sounds good to me, man. I was like, that's cool. And so we're both canceling our ride, and as we're doing that, she's like touching my leg and stuff, and I'm like touching her, and we start, kind of making out. And as we're doing that, like out of nowhere, I swear to God, in everything this holy, this is like the craziest thing. Out of nowhere, she like pops up out of like kissing me and whatever, and she's like, hey, and she starts asking the driver, she goes, do you care if we mess around in the back seat? And I did not expect this at all. It was like total randomness. And I was like, wait, wow. I was like, this is crazy.
You whispered it to her ear, and she came up with it.
If I did, I totally did. I didn't know I did. Like,
so that tells me everything.
Shit.
Then you definitely did whisper in your ear.
I didn't, but man, I mean, shit, it was wild. But so she's talking to the driver, and I'm just sitting there like, wow. I was like, really? I was like, is this actually happening right now? And he's like, yeah. He's like, just don't make a mess. Like, he was totally down. And I was like, what? And so he had turned around in this like parking lot, and we were heading back the other direction. So we had like 10 minutes before we were going to get back to my hotel. And we were dropping her off at her place, obviously. But so we're going back to my hotel. And so she literally starts doing everything, starts taking my belt and like getting everything done. And she hops on top of me. We're in the back of this van. I'm like, and really enjoying it, obviously, but also kind of scared because I was like, I don't know this guy driving, and he's obviously he's foreign. And he just
Why?
had us cancel our trip. So it's like he could take us anywhere, or he could pull out a gun at any time, which is what it is. But like I was just embracing the whole concept of it, and then we got about 5 or 6 minutes into it, not enough to do really anything crazy. And next thing you know, we're pulling into the parking lot of my hotel, and we button everything up, and I'm kind of nervous because obviously I've got this bulge in my pants. So I'm like got to walk through a hotel lobby and get through everything. So it was definitely interesting, but it was wild, and obviously it counts as having sex in an Uber, but obviously wish I could have been a little bit longer, but it ended up being a really fun night. She got her birthday sex, and I got my bucket list item of having sex in an Uber, man. So it was wild, and it was a different experience, but it was fun.
You got your nut out, embracing embracing the moment. Very romantic. Hopefully,
it was super romantic.
Hopefully, you two continue on this very serious relationship. It seems like it's going in the right direction. Am I invited to the wedding? Is it in Maui? Like, what are we talking about here?
Destination weddings are always fun, man. So we no, but to be honest, she was a lot of fun, and we hung out all night long. Like I said, I had an early morning in the office, and so I actually left a room and left her there, and I was like, hey, just make sure you clean everything, leave everything, lock, whatever up. And so she ended up leaving, but I had her number and she had mine, and we actually texting throughout the day, and kind of laughing about the night, and kind of reminiscing on it, and whatever. And it was one of those things, like it was a total one night stand, had fun, and haven't seen her since. So we talked and messaged over the course of a week, and then it just kind of fizzled out. So yeah. Definitely no wedding yet, but if that ever happens, man, you'll be the first one I call.